Hey guys, Omerko here, self-taught web developer. Through this video we will see one more feature of Angular. Well, this time I will show you lifecycle hooks in Angular. Lifecycle hooks are starting on component itself. While that component is rendered, while it's rendering its view and also its child views. There are many different lifecycle hooks and we can use all of them. Lifecycle hooks also have their own key events which we can tap into and do something like initiate change detection when it's needed. Now I will show you one of simple examples for the lifecycle hook. But before I do that, I will first remove all of my content from my last video, so this unordered list and table. I will keep my top bar here. I can even remove this selection for the top bar, this template variable for it. Also I will go into my TypeScript and remove this users array and shopping list array, because we won't use that. For this example, I will go into top bar itself. Well, to be more specific, to top bar component.TypeScript. You see, we generated this top bar with Angular CLI, and it automatically created this called ngOnInit. Also, next to this ngOnInit, we can see that the export class top bar component implements onInit, and also this onInit is imported from Angular/core. To simplify this, onInit is one of the lifecycle hooks in Angular, and it has its own method called ngOnInit. To show you when will ngOnInit run, I will simply console log inside of ngOnInit. So console.log, I will log ngOnInit, and let's go into browser. Now in my Angular project I will inspect my element, go into console itself. Let me clear up the console, I will quickly refresh the page, and you can see the log here, ngOnInit. So basically ngOnInit will run as soon as the component itself is rendered, as it is generated. ngOnInit is used then to run and do something as soon as we initiate our view. For example, if you wish to get data from your database and render those on your screen, we will mostly run such a request in ngOnInit. Now, as I mentioned, Angular also supports other hooks, and let's see about those now. One of the hooks that we could also implement, next to this I will implement ngOnChanges. It should be imported from Angular/core. It shows us the error now because as we implemented ngOnChanges, it also expects to have this ngOnChanges method. So below my ngOnInit, I will use ngOnChanges method, should return void here, and I will just console.log ngOnChanges. Going now to my browser, if I would refresh the page, we cannot see ngOnChanges at all. Well, ngOnChanges itself, it will run when Angular sets or reset the data input properties. So as we don't have such a properties here, it won't run at all. Usually it will run before ngOnInit even, and whenever data input is changed. Next one that I wish to show you is called ngDoCheck method. So lifecycle hook. So here I must use ngDoCheck, should return void once again, and here I will just console.log ngDoCheck. Checking my browser now, I can refresh the page, and we could see two console logs for the ngDoCheck. ngDoCheck will mostly run immediately after ngOnChanges, and it will initialize the directive or component after Angular first displays the data. So basically once our top bar was rendered and everything was finished, it will just check if everything is correct. So basically that's why we see these logs. Next one, I will implement here AfterContentInit. Here I'll also need to use ngAfterContentInit, which will return once again void. Let's console.log. Let's log entire method here. immediately on my browser after ngDoCheck, we have this initiation here. So basically this method will run only once after first ngDoCheck. As you can see, we cannot see the second log here, so because it will run just once after the first ngDoCheck. So basically once we checked our content, it will just run another method after that if we wish to do anything after the content was initiated. Next one, here I will use AfterContentChecked, and here I need to use ngAfterContentChecked, which is another method of another lifecycle hook. And here AfterContentChecked, I will log it, and on my screen we can see that it will run few times. Well, this ngAfterContentChecked will run at first, well, immediately after content initiate happens. And next time it will happen, well, each time once we checked our content. So for example, here we are checking with ngDoCheck. Immediately after that, we are running this check once again. Next one, let me move this down a bit, so you could see all of those. So next one that I will use will be AfterViewInitiates. So here ngAfterViewInit is a method, so it will return void console.log that same method, so we could see when it will run. This method should be called only once, and it will called after first ngAfterContentChecked. So once we checked our content here, it should run the method, which it did. Basically it will initiate the view. Next one, as we have the check for our content, we should also have the check for our view, then, which means that here I will do AfterViewChecked. Again, it should be imported from top. I could also bring this down so you could see everything. Here it is. So now I can use ngAfterViewChecked, should return void, and I will console.log ngAfterViewChecked. So basically this will always run after first ngAfterViewInit and also after every ngAfterContentChecked. So here we can see that we initiated for the view itself. We have after for that, and also we immediately have lifecycle hook that will check, well, that after view, what happened, and also we can do something on that point if we wish. Down below we can see that we are checking our content here with this lifecycle hook, but immediately after that we are again running ngAfterViewChecked. Well, not we, but the Angular itself will run it immediately. And there is only one more to go. This one is called ngOnDestroy method, which should be imported from Angular core, and here I will just use ngOnDestroy void, and here console.log ngOnDestroy. Here it is. ngOnDestroy will be called immediately before Angular destroys the directive or component. It is mostly used to detach event handlers and even avoid memory leaks. Here we cannot see ngOnDestroy at all. Even if we would refresh the page, we won't see that ngOnDestroy at all. But for example, if we would have a routing integrated and we would change our route from home to about page, for example, then ngOnDestroy will run. You see, Angular uses this feature called observables, and those observables I will talk more in their video, but for now those are just wrappers for our data, and with that we will basically subscribe to that, and in our background of our Angular we will hold this data and we will hold this in our memory. If we would route ourselves from the page that holds such a memory, it will hold that memory and it will allow the memory leak to happen. But that's why we have this ngOnDestroy in which we will immediately clear, well, avoid all memory leaks even before directive or component was destroyed. Well, this will be all regarding lifecycle hooks in Angular. You saw which hooks does Angular support, how to use them, and also when and for what will they run. This will be all for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you like what you saw, please click like and subscribe as I am posting new content weekly. Thank you once again, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.